Well, Mark, welcome back.
Good to be back, John.
Part 2 of our SOAPA series, or SOAPA, as we say here in Massachusetts. So we talked a lot about the technology underpinnings for SOAPA, but what's driving the requirement?
Well, I think the requirement gets back down to you can't do security with, again, 135 tools from 40 vendors that don't work together, right? And so, and even if that's for all of security, even when you get to the segment that you're describing with SOAPA, right now for customers, that's a collection of tens or sometimes 20 or more tools that are trying to, make sense of this. I think the personification of SOAPA is an analyst sitting in a security operations center, right? Like the one we have here in our office. And there are not enough of them. There's 1.5 million vacancies in cybersecurity by 2020, right? And there's almost probably a million today. Obviously hacks are up, insiders, compliance, right? So we're being driven by everything that's driving security spending and a shortage of skills. And so you can't do it anymore with a couple dozen solutions that don't work together. So I think customers are just starting to say, okay, I've fallen in love with the new shiny object all the time and bought a new tool, a new tool, a new tool. I gotta now put a platform together, an architecture that works together.
Yeah, and you hit on it. One of my pet issues in this market is the skill shortage.
Right.
Our data says 45% of organizations report having a problematic shortage of cybersecurity skills. So you do have to make it easier for them. And in that, is it responding to alerts? Is it being able to handle more alerts? Is it the volume of data that they're trying to cope with? Is there anything that stands out, or is it kind of across the board?
We did a lot of research in this area as we were thinking about our efforts on Watson for Cyber, which is a part of your SOAPA architecture, right? Watson for Cyber being a cognitive ability above the SIEM to add value there. And one of the reasons we built it is that skill shortage we talked about. The average analyst is sitting there. Maybe they have 200,000 events are coming into the platform, which is just events. Event can be a log. We know that that's not that exciting. But they have 20, 30, 40 different incidents a day, right? And for every incident, this analyst is calling their friend John. John, have you seen this? Is the IP address pinging me? Have you seen this?
I'm at lunch.
Yeah, you're exactly. That happens every time. They're going to Virus Total. They're checking what FSISAC says. There's like an hour or two of work.
Oh, anyway, yeah.
And then the question is, do you even come up with the right answer? So how do you, SOAPA, I think the goal is SOAPA, and then actually cognitive SOAPA, or whatever we want to call it, I'll leave you to the naming. But adding cognitive on top of SOAPA is got to reduce how many incidents you can handle in a scarce labor environment.
Yeah. And, when I talk to CISOs about SOAPA, they like the concept, but they say to me, where do I start?
Right.
What do I do? So are you providing professional services around this, or how are you guiding your customers in this whole kind of SOAPA journey?
Yeah, my team right now is, as we speak, building 100 SOCs around the world. It's the scale of what my team is doing. So, we have a wonderful practice there that specializes in building security operations center, and it's, where do you start? I always think you got to start with just collecting data into a really good analytics platform, right? Because then you start to really get a sense of where are your issues. You start to collect data, and you'll soon realize, I need UBA, I need deeper EDR, I need more on the network, I need something around correlating the entities or threat intelligence or cognitive. The above and below SIEM needs become very clear as you start to collect that data and realize the base case.
Yeah, and that's actually the driver of SOAPA is I've got SIM, but I want to collect some more data over here. I want to collect some more data over there.
Yep.
What about scale? Just the amount of data that we're collecting now from different sources for security, analytics, and operations. Is that something your customers are struggling with, and how are you addressing that?
Listen, that's on us, and I think in the world that we're in now, between what we can do, with big data, what we can do with the cloud, scale, if architected correctly, is no longer the barrier for our customers. I think 4 or 5 years ago, scale was an issue. There are still players that have issues with scale, but I think if you go for a really market-leading collection and SIEM solution, you should be able to scale it up to what your need is. Now,
Okay.
there are things like IoT that start to really, call on a scale at the next level. But I think, again, the technology is there for that.
Okay.
What I think is being able to get access to the depth of data you need, so the right probes, and being able to display and make use of the data with those above SIEM capabilities is where I'm seeing more of the challenge, which is why we've tried to really open up our platform so that people can build apps on top of it and the like.
Yeah, so collecting the data is one thing, but enriching the data, contextualizing the data, and actually operationalizing the data is really where we're trying to get to with this event-driven architecture. So
Exactly.
Seems like we're in alignment here. We're simpatico on
It's simpatico on this. I'm not gonna debate you on it. I think it's an exciting chapter for our, chapter of the security novel for our customers, because I think we really are giving them what they want, which is value out of that collection, out of that SIEM layer, with, as you say, with your SOAPA, the below SIEM that adds depth and collection, and the above SIEM that literally brings the horse to water in terms of the value customers need for UBA, for threat, for incident response, for interpreting the event. So I think the customers benefit from this.
Yeah.
And I think actually the price points that are out there now in terms of doing all this have gotten better, and the scalability is there. So I think it's a win for the customers as well.
Yeah, and if my analogy holds true of moving from departmental apps to ERP enabled a whole bunch of new kinds of business collaboration and business processes. So hopefully SOAPA can do the same thing for security.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, thanks, Mark.
All right, John. Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.